Hello, everyone. What if I told you that right now, in this exact moment, there's a doorway opening that most people won't even see? A doorway that doesn't require you to be chosen, doesn't require permission, doesn't require anything except your willingness to recognize opportunity when it stands directly in front of you. A doorway that's been predicted by those who understand the ancient patterns of wealth transfer, the patterns that repeat throughout history when paradigms shift and fortunes are made by those brave enough to stand at the threshold. And here's what's making my hands shake as I record this. Two things are converging, two forces moving toward you simultaneously, one from the realm of technology and revolution, one from the realm of human connection and recognition, both carrying potential to transform your material reality in ways you haven't let yourself imagine. Welcome back. It's Anna. And tonight we speak of things the rational mind dismisses as impossible. We speak of multi-millionaire consciousness. We speak of messages that change everything. We speak of platforms that democratize wealth in ways the old guard never imagined. We speak of KADVUN, and we speak of someone whose voice you're about to hear in ways that shift your entire trajectory. Let me reveal what's stirring in the confluence of these forces, in the mystical understanding of how wealth moves through human civilization. There exist moments of profound disruption, moments when the old systems crack, when new architectures emerge, when early recognizers of shift position themselves at the source of rivers that will soon flood. The printing press was such a moment. The internet was such a moment. Cryptocurrency was such a moment. And now, right now, in the emergence of blockchain-enabled commerce, we stand at another such threshold. KADVUN, the first blockchain-enabled worldwide open-source purchasing platform, not a company promising you wealth, but an infrastructure, a foundation, a complete reimagining of how value moves between humans globally and those who understand what this means, those who recognize the pattern. They're positioning themselves now before the masses notice, before the obvious becomes obvious to everyone. Some souls hear about revolutionary platforms and dismiss them. Too good to be true, too complicated to understand, too risky to engage with. And they watch from the sidelines as early adopters transform their financial realities while they stayed comfortable in old paradigms. But you're different, aren't you? You're reading this, you're feeling the resonance, you're recognizing that something significant is being shown to you in this moment, that this isn't random, that you're being given sight of an opportunity most will miss entirely. Let me speak into the mystery of multimillionaire consciousness and what it actually means. This reflection invites you to consider, what if wealth beyond your current imagination is possible through understanding what most don't understand yet? There's a consciousness that exists before wealth manifests, a way of seeing, a way of recognizing value before the market recognizes it, a way of understanding systems before the systems become obvious, a way of positioning yourself at the convergence of forces rather than chasing forces after they've already converged. In the ancient traditions of prosperity and abundance, the masters teach that wealth follows understanding, that those who see early eat first, that those who recognize pattern profit from pattern, that those who understand infrastructure rather than just product position themselves for generational wealth rather than temporary gain. It's possible you're being initiated into exactly this kind of consciousness right now, the consciousness that looks at KADVUN and doesn't just see a platform, sees a revolution, sees the democratization of global commerce, sees the dismantling of gatekeepers who've controlled purchasing power for centuries, sees an opportunity to be part of the foundation rather than a customer of the building. Some people will hear about blockchain-enabled open source purchasing and their minds will glaze over. Too technical, too abstract, too outside their current understanding. And they'll return to comfort, to familiar ways of seeking wealth that keep them exactly where they are. But others, those with eyes to see, they'll recognize what's being offered. Not a guarantee, but a doorway. Not a promise, but a possibility. Not certainty, but the kind of aligned opportunity that appears when consciousness meets readiness meets divine timing. You might be exactly that kind of seer, standing at this threshold, recognizing it as threshold, feeling the significance even if you can't articulate why, knowing in your bones that paying attention to this moment matters in ways you'll understand later. This reflection invites you to consider, what if your attention being drawn to KADVUN right now is not accident but alignment? Let me part the veils between the technological and the mystical. There are those who understand blockchain only as technology, code, distributed ledgers, decentralization, and they miss the deeper pattern, the spiritual pattern, the pattern of power returning to the people, of gatekeepers being removed, of middlemen being eliminated, of direct value exchange between souls without institutional interference. In the esoteric understanding of what's actually happening, blockchain is not just technology, it's consciousness made manifest. It's the collective human awakening to the reality that we don't need permission from centralized powers to create value and exchange value, that we can build systems that serve the many rather than enriching the few. And KADVUN, it's taking this principle into the realm where most humans actually live, not in speculation, not in abstract tokens, but in purchasing, in the actual exchange of goods and services, in the daily commerce that comprises material existence. It's possible you're being shown this platform at this time because your consciousness is ready for what it represents, not just as a way to potentially build wealth, but as a way to participate in the fundamental restructuring of how humans exchange value globally. Some souls are meant to be part of revolutions, not as followers, but as early adopters, as those who recognize significance before it's validated by the masses, as those who take aligned action when action requires courage because the outcome isn't guaranteed. You might be exactly that kind of soul, being called to pay attention, to investigate, to understand, to position yourself not through greed, but through recognition of what serves the collective while also serving your abundance. This reflection invites you to consider, what if participating in KADVUN is about more than money? Now let me speak to the second force converging in your reality, the message, the call, the person. In the hidden orchestrations of divine timing, often when we're positioned at one threshold, we're simultaneously positioned at another. The universe doesn't work in isolated incidents. It works in synchronicities, in convergences, in multiple forces aligning at once to create conditions for breakthrough. It's possible that as you're discovering KADVUN, as you're learning about this platform, as you're considering your relationship to this opportunity, someone else is also thinking about you. Someone whose message or call could open yet another doorway, could provide information, could offer partnership, could create connection that accelerates everything. Some people experience these convergences as overwhelming, too much happening at once, too many synchronicities, too many signs pointing in the same direction, and they freeze, they doubt. They talk themselves out of recognizing what's obvious because obvious feels too good to be true. But in the mystical understanding of how manifestation actually works is less than #0. 5 hash is greater than convergence is not coincidence. Multiple things aligning simultaneously is not random. It's the universe showing you that you're in flow, that you're on path, that you're meant to pay attention to what's showing up because what's showing up is answering prayers you've been speaking into the void. You might be experiencing exactly this kind of convergence, KADVUN appearing in your awareness, someone preparing to reach out, resources aligning, information arriving, all of it simultaneously, all of it pointing toward the same possibility. That your financial reality is about to shift in ways you haven't dared to fully hope for. This reflection invites you to consider what if multiple forms of opportunity arriving at once is evidence you're ready. Let me illuminate what you must understand about this moment, to not squander it. There is a difference between those who become wealthy and those who dream about wealth. The difference is not intelligence, not worthiness, not even luck. The difference is willingness to investigate when shown something, willingness to learn when presented with new information, willingness to act when aligned opportunity presents itself. In the practical alchemy of turning consciousness into capital, knowledge is the first step. You cannot participate in what you don't understand. You cannot position yourself in opportunities you haven't investigated. You cannot benefit from platforms you've dismissed without examination. It's possible your next action matters more than you realize. Whether you dismiss KADVUN as too complex or investigate it as potentially significant, whether you research blockchain-enabled purchasing or return to familiar ways, whether you position yourself to understand early or wait until everyone else already has. Some people will read about KADVUN here and do nothing, will let the moment pass, will remain in comfort, will choose the familiar over the frontier, and they'll watch others build wealth through understanding they chose not to pursue. Others will recognize this as the universe presenting them with exactly what they've been asking for, an opportunity to participate in something revolutionary. A platform that could democratize their wealth building in ways traditional systems never allowed. A doorway they're being shown for a reason. You get to choose which category you're in. The dismissers or the investigators. The comfortable or the courageous, the ones who watch or the ones who participate. This reflection invites you to consider, what if this moment of reading about KADVUN is a test of your readiness for the wealth you say you want? Let me speak to the message or call that's approaching. There are those in your orbit who understand things you don't understand yet, who've been watching you, who've been waiting for the right moment to share information or offer opportunity or create connection, who've been holding back until they sense you're ready. In the mysterious way, humans recognize readiness in each other. Certain conversations don't happen until both people are prepared for them. Certain offers don't get extended until the recipient can receive them. Certain partnerships don't form until timing aligns. It's possible someone is currently sensing your readiness. They might not consciously know they're sensing it, but something in your energy has shifted. Something about how you're showing up in the world, something about your openness to new paradigms. And that shift is creating magnetic pull, is making you someone they suddenly want to connect with, want to share with, want to invite into something. Some souls are gatekeepers to opportunity, not officially, but practically. They have information, they have access, they have understanding. And they share these things selectively with people they sense can use them well, can honor them, can build with them. You might be becoming exactly the kind of person these gatekeepers want to connect with through your investigation of platforms like KADVUN, through your willingness to learn, through your positioning at the edge of new paradigms rather than the safety of old ones. And when they reach out, when that message or call comes, you'll recognize it as significant because you'll have been preparing for it even without knowing you were preparing. This reflection invites you to consider who might be preparing to connect with you about opportunity. Let me close by speaking to the multi-millionaire path itself. This is not fantasy. This is not delusion. This is pattern recognition. Throughout history, certain individuals have recognized systemic shifts before the masses, have understood new technologies before they became mainstream, have positioned themselves in emerging infrastructures before those infrastructures became obvious, and they built wealth, not through luck, not through privilege alone, but through sight, through courage to investigate what others dismissed, through willingness to learn what seemed complicated, through action when action required faith because guarantees didn't exist. In the current emergence of blockchain-enabled commerce, in platforms like KADVUN that are reimagining how global purchasing works, we stand at exactly such a moment where early understanding can translate into early positioning, where learning now can create advantage later, where participation in foundation building can yield returns that watching from sidelines never will. It's possible you're meant to be one of the early ones, one of the seers, one of the builders, one of the participants in a revolution rather than consumers of its aftermath. May you investigate what's being shown to you. May you learn what you don't yet understand. May you recognize opportunity before it's validated by masses. The doorway is open. The platform exists. The message is coming. KADVUN, the first blockchain-enabled worldwide open-source purchasing platform. Not the only opportunity in your life, but possibly the catalyst, the entry point. The education that leads to understanding, that leads to positioning, that leads to wealth consciousness, manifesting as actual wealth. You'll become a multimillionaire. That depends entirely on what you do with what's being shown to you, on whether you investigate or dismiss, on whether you learn or ignore, on whether you position yourself or stay comfortable. You're going to receive a message or call from this person, perhaps someone who understands KADVUN, perhaps someone who wants to share opportunity, perhaps someone who recognizes your readiness and wants to accelerate your journey. But none of it matters if you don't act on what you're being shown right now. Trust this. Trust that you're reading this for a reason. Trust that KADVUN appearing in your awareness is not random. Trust that your curiosity is the universe trying to lead you somewhere significant. The question is simple. Will you follow? Investigate KADVUN. Understand the revolution. Position yourself early. Your financial reality is waiting to shift. The doorway is here. Walk through it